Hi everyone, my name is Eric Layton and I am a managing member in a solar energy company and have been working in the solar field for several years. This is a presentation for other solar companies or sales companies to help with sales. Now, getting homeowners to go solar is very difficult, to say the least. It's expensive and time consuming, and it's hard to predict who will go solar and why. I've been working on reducing this cost and clearing up this mystery. I haven't yet found a way for you to close every potential customer, but I have identified the 7 most common mistakes that may be keeping customers away. Number 1, not following up with leads fast enough. In marketing geek speak, a lead is, quote, someone who has an articulated interest in a product, end quote. In this case, residential solar. In common speak, it's someone who has raised his hand to learn more about solar. Not only is such an interest rare and hard to find, but it's also very fleeting. The interest is usually triggered by an event, like say sticker shock from an electric bill, seeing an ad on television or in the newspaper, a referral from a friend, buying an electric vehicle, etc., things like that. But subsidies quickly thereafter also interest them. The further removed the event, let's say, the less likely the lead will go solar. Think of those New Year's resolutions to eat healthier or exercise more, and how follow-through on those ambitions declines the further I get from January 1st. Thus, quick follow-up is absolutely critical. Analysis by a company called Velocify Research on over 3 million leads indicates that lead-to-sale conversions improved by nearly 400% by contacting customers within a minute after the lead is generated, such as showing articulated interest. Conversion drops rapidly afterward, only improving by 17% if the lead is contacted within 5 to 24 hours. Moreover, businesses contact leads on average a day after generation, 24 hours, and many allow several days to pass before first contact. As a result, most leads are lost before getting any solar quote at all. Number 2, assuming the customers share your opinion about solar. Salespeople who are excited about their product are very persuasive and are more persuasive. And there is a lot to be excited about when selling solar. It saves money, provides clean energy, it can help with national energy independence, and so on and so on. However, the excitement does have its downsides. Your excitement can prevent you from understanding the customer's perspective. What may be a no-brainer to you can be a very scary proposition to the customer. In an extreme case, customers can perceive solar arrays as ugly, expensive machines or structures that may or may not work to save them money. They can see it as creating unforeseen hazards, or they can see problems with maintenance. How do I clean my panels, for instance? And when they see it's bolted to their home with a roof penetration, and a home is, guess what? Most people's most valuable possession, along with their cars, for instance. So, customers will invariably have different perceptions about solar, many of them deviating far from reality. It is important that you address the customer's interest in solar, as well as their concerns about going solar. By focusing on what you'd like to talk about, for example, the pluses and minuses of string inverters versus microinverters, and so forth, and not what the customer wants to know, you will quickly lose the customer's interest. Remember, interest can disappear very quickly, and you want to keep that as a salesperson. Point number 3, confusing customers with too many options. Having options is generally a good thing. So are you doing customers a favor by giving them more options? Not necessarily. Options can be overwhelming, especially when the customer doesn't know about solar or is only slightly interested in it. Unfortunately, this is the case with most leads. Switching to solar can be intimidating. Remember mistake number 2. And more options can just suggest more ways for things to go wrong. At the very least, they represent more decisions. For a customer who is wavering on whether to go solar, whether to install it on their house, for instance, an additional decision can be taxing. Studies have shown that when people are faced with too many decisions, they default to not taking any action or staying with what they know. For a solar prospect, that would mean getting electricity from the utilities. This does not mean that you should not give customers options. For certain customers, it may be best to recommend an option. Less knowledgeable customers about solar tend to prefer more direction, while more sophisticated customers that know more about solar and have researched solar are more inclined to appreciate a range of choices. And as the salesperson, you need to really judge this. Point number 4, bashing the competition before the customer is sold on solar. Sure, good sales skills mean knowing how to sell against the competition, but doing so when solar prospects are not fully engaged with solar will hurt not just your competitor, but guess what? You too. In making purchasing decisions, customers go through a series of stages before they buy, and I've noticed this personally with all of my solar sales. They go from awareness to adoption to advocacy. Customers go through an awareness and a, quote, interest phase before they seriously consider solar. It is during the evaluation stage that customers like their different options, including whether to go with you or a competitor. No doubt, it's tempting to try to get customers first by spiking the other guy's offer with some good old-fashioned fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Example, off the top of my head, I've seen before, hey, their equipment is junk, they're using Chinese solar panels that are crap and will go bad after a couple years. Oh, their financing is a scam, that 25-year loan, that's an absolute scam. Or the best one, or the one that I see a lot, is, oh, their work is shoddy. By using scare tactics, it's more likely to scare prospects from going solar altogether. Most customers are unfamiliar with or misinformed about solar to begin with. Those who get beyond the awareness stage typically have only some interest and may find solar intimidating. Remember, see mistake number 2. Or the choices bewildering. See mistake number 3. When somebody suggests that choosing poorly could make you worse off than not choosing anything at all, what would you do? Okay. Point number 5. Not asking for referrals or asking incorrectly. Now, referrals remain the most cost-effective way to acquire customers. Some solar companies pay about $500 for each referral, give or take a few $100s. I've seen as high as $1,000 for a referral fee, but depends on what service you use as a company. Now, what about the customers? Now, some solar companies I've seen offer a generous referral fee of $1,000, which is fairly decent, but it's only a fraction of the average customer acquisition cost of $2,000 to $4,000. These numbers would likely puzzle academic researchers with no experience of selling solar. If referrals are so much cheaper than customer acquisition, why spend so little on referrals and so much on other marketing efforts? Of course, the solar industry's response would be that the problem is not the referral fee. The problem is that there are not enough opportunities for referrals. After all, every sales rep asks their happy customers for referrals, right? Not exactly. In fact, many sales reps do not ask their customers for referrals, or they ask them so timidly that it's the same as not asking them at all. Solar pros often request referrals in a passing statement, such as, let's pretend the customer's name is Ryan. Hey Ryan, if you ever know anybody who's interested in solar, can you let me know? To which Ryan replies, okay. The sales rep leaves, assuming his request will be at the top of the mind for Ryan the next time he sees a friend with a good roof for solar or a high energy bill. But Ryan has many other things to think about, and Ryan doesn't actively engage with his PV system the way he engages with his other devices like his iPhone or his car, for instance. So he is unlikely to think about his PV system on a regular basis. Ryan is certainly not going to be as capable as you in identifying a good solar candidate, and he's unlikely to know whether his friends and neighbors have high energy bills. All of these factors mean that Ryan by himself is probably not going to be your best lead source. So follow-up is important. It could be a periodic checkup, a solar party or a solar get-together, I've seen those before, or maybe just a physical reminder such as a referral card or a gift. An email is also acceptable there. Point number 6, losing contact with past solar companies. Another good reason to stay in touch with a customer, such as my example Ryan, is that your past solar customers are arguably your best marketing resources. One of the one of the biggest barriers to adoption is the lack of trialability, and that's actually a word. Selling solar is difficult because customers cannot try the product before buying. There is no test driving of solar. Heck, there's no 30-day money-back guarantee, and there's really no free sample of solar. The customer faces an all-or-nothing proposition. Either you bolt a solar array onto his house, or he can't experience it at all. Because they can't try it out for themselves, solar prospects place more light on the experiences of past customers to inform their decision. The prospects will ask for references among past customers, look at reviews on social media sites, other lead generation sites, or read and view their testimonials. The longer the past customers have had solar, the more credible their experiences. These customers can speak to potential long-term concerns about reliability, savings, or even maintenance. Unfortunately, many solar companies lose contact with their customers, especially their earliest customers. Staying in touch with all previous customers, even if only occasionally, sending a holiday email, sending a follow-up, "Hey, how are you doing, Ryan?" can provide you with a lot of testimonials and the trust they confer on your business. Point number 7, giving up too soon on leads or getting referrals. It appears that most installers give up on a lead within 3 months. Attempts to get referrals from customers have only a slightly longer time horizon, perhaps up to 6 months. A University of Texas study in 2013 found that the average time to adopt, the time when the customer first considered going solar for the first time they made a purchase, is 9 months. Similarly, I've actually heard of solar companies getting referrals from customers who had gone solar several years earlier. There are a lot of opportunities to win a customer or referral after the initial 3 to 6 months. The earlier you give up, the more money you might be leaving on the table. Of course, this does not necessarily mean that every lead or every past customer should be contacted continuously for years. Don't do that. What it does mean is that you should be selective about who you contact and think carefully about how you approach each person. Now, I hope these points will help you in obtaining more sales from your solar company. These points can also be used in any general business you have, so it's not just a solar company. These points are very important, and again, I hope that this presentation was helpful for you. Thank you for your time.